I think you gave a bit of an update yesterday with Rovers, but just to confirm, Aaron's out. Any other sort of personnel news? Graham Burke, is he okay? Or
no, Graham will do a bit tonight, but I'd imagine it's going to be too early for him. He wants to push, but I think it'd be too early to push him. Aaron's obviously out. Aaron could add a push, probably make the Chelsea game, but we're going to just leave him till January, because he's obviously, when we got him back from Australia, he had that big injury, and it's just been playing catch up since then. So we've made the decision just to shut him down and try and get his body ready for next season.
What's your feeling around this game? Because there was probably pressure around Larne and TNS to get the points. Now, like, people feel, I think you said, maybe 97% through, or whatever the stats are. Is it a sort of a new focus to not maybe lose some kind of edge because maybe some of that pressure is off?
Well, look, we want to show improvement, and how you do that is come to places like this and perform and compete as best you can and see, can we get something out of the game. And nothing is going to change in terms of our mindset. We have 3 games left. Obviously tomorrow and Chelsea are really difficult games, but we have 3 games to try and get more points on the board, and I said after Larne, after TNS, after Whipplewell, that was the aim, get as many points on the board as possible. Can we? I don't know, time will tell, but that's the aim. It's not ideal that we're out of season, obviously, but so be it. That's the way it is. That's life. We are where we are, and this is what we've wanted. So we won't be taking a foot off or eye off, or you can't afford to come into these places in any way. But yeah, our focus remains the same. Can we go and try and get something out of a difficult game?
I mean, it's the sense of impressing the people. There's still lots to play for. I know that the top 8 is one thing, but even you can be a home second if you 8-16. Like, there's a lot still at stake in these games potentially. Yeah,
we know that. And again, we're not good enough. I don't think any team is good enough, but we're certainly not good enough to come to places like this and think of anything other than trying to compete as best we can. If you do that in any game of football, but especially in stadiums like this against good teams, you're in big trouble. So it's like I said, I've seen it with the players. They're in a good place. They're focused. The 2 games last week were good to get us some more minutes into the legs, but I think they're in a good place. The break has done us good the week off. But like I said, still work to be done. Can we go and get more points on the board? And that starts tomorrow night, and that'll be the aim.
What's your sense of Rapid from your homework? How do they compare to teams you've played previously? Is there anyone they're close to in terms of style? Or
style-wise, no, they have their own style, a unique style. They're a very good team. I think they're a possession-based team. They like to load midfield areas with a lot of players, and both centre-backs are really good passes of the ball, so they look to penetrate into your front third very quickly. They've got really good strengths. Centre forward's a good player, good movement. It's quite clear to see once you watch them that they have a clear identity, and they're very good at what they do. And I'm sure we'll see that at times tomorrow. It's going to be difficult, but I can't think anyone off the top of my head who they're very similar to. I couldn't compare them to anyone right now.
Just finally for me, you've turned 40 since the last game. Did you allow yourself any time to sort of reflect on, I suppose, what you've achieved? I mean, it's obviously it's a landmark sort of birthday for a lot of people, but is there a sense of just reflecting on what you've done and what the future could hold from here?
No. Thanks for mentioning that, Dan. We had time off, which was really nice with the family. Got to switch off. Got to put the phone down for a couple of days, which is unusual, and I did enjoy that. But in terms of reflection, we've had a review regarding the domestic season and what went wrong there and what we did okay. So we've had that review. But in terms of reflecting personally, no, I think that's for years down the road. Hopefully, when I'm finished managing, it's not for now. Now, it's just about trying to prepare this team, this group, as best as possible for the challenges ahead, trying to take the club forward on and off the pitch, and trying to improve me and the staff. Like I said, we're still young, I'm still young, and it's about learning and getting better and improving. So it's not about sitting back and patting yourself on the back and saying we've done okay, because we'll see tomorrow against this level of opposition that there's levels to this game, and we want to keep trying to rise them and keep competing against the top ones. So as a club and as a team, and me as a manager, it's about just how can we keep bridging that gap and getting better. And I think once you lose that little spark and that little hunger to get better, I think you're in a dangerous place. So yeah, no personal reflection.
Hi Stephen.
Answer, sorry.
Gary referenced there about having started pre-season on December 18th last year. What challenges does that present when you're going effectively non-stop for a year and hopefully beyond?
It's not ideal. Like I said, we'd still like to have domestic competitive games to keep your mind sharp and keep the level of fitness at the optimal level. But like I said, we all know our season is what it is. There's no getting away from that. It is what it is. It's fine. But this is where we've wanted to be. This is what we want to do. I've always said I felt our off-season is too long, and anyway, so the only downside, like I said, is that we haven't got competitive games. But I'd much rather be sitting here and coming to a stadium like this, playing against a good team, and have that challenge in front of us tomorrow. I'd much rather have that than be sitting at home on the TV watching the games tonight or tomorrow night. So no, I really like this. I really enjoy it. This is what we want.
Just in terms of the kind of strength and condition, though, like how can you get the rest into them that you need over the course of a 12 months then? Or?
Well, we won't know that until next year, but that has to be the aim. Once the Chelsea game is done, we'll have time off. It means our pre-season is going to be really short next year. But I think it's important that the players have the time off rather than have a shorter time off and come in and have a long pre-season, because I think history shows that when that happens, you usually are left wanting in May, June, July time. So yeah, we won't do that. The players will definitely get their time off, and I think it's important that they switch off mentally, physically after the Chelsea game, and then we're back in, and I think we've got maybe 3 weeks then to prepare for the first league game. So yeah, and again, it's not ideal, but it is what it is, and it's a great challenge. It's great for us as a group to try and understand that and work it out, and hopefully we're making the right decisions, but we won't know that until this time next year.
And the European games are always seen as a level above, not just in terms of standard, but the occasion. The fact that that first league game is going to be at the Viva against Bows, what will that do for League of Ireland?
Hopefully it does. It brings a positive energy. The league last year, considering how it went and so many teams involved late on, was great for the league as a whole. I think there's so many neutrals or outsiders that got involved in the league and wanted to watch it, which is only a positive thing. And you would hope the game in the Viva would be another positive. You would hope we'd be able to get a big crowd. I'd imagine we will. The pitch will be in good condition, hopefully, and you have two good teams, a Dublin derby. Hopefully it's the start of something that we can grow from as a league, and if it's successful, I'm sure there'll be many more games played in domestic games played in the Viva.
Were you sold on that idea straight away when they brought it to you, or did you need any convincing at all, or discussions about it?
It was more just about the timings of the first league game for me. Like I said, we're not going to have a lot of time off, so it was more just about the timing of it. Once the timing turned out to be what it is, for me, I really don't mind where we play. But if you said to me you could play a domestic game in the Aviva, would you like to do that? Of course I would. I think it's a no-brainer. And obviously with the works going on in Dalymount as well, and I think it would have been reduced capacity even more so. So I think it makes sense to try and do it in a bigger venue, and the Aviva is obviously a brilliant venue. So hopefully we can get a big crowd and it should build and bring great excitement for the start of the league campaign, which is what we all want. We want to keep the momentum of what's been built this year and the last few years, but and hopefully the game in the Aviva gives us that opportunity.
And do you see it as a one-off, or this season coming? I mean, next season, or is it the type of thing that could be opened up to other clubs? Or
the game, you mean?
Just playing in the Aviva, playing league games in the Aviva.
I think it depends how successful it is. I think it depends how if you open the Aviva and get 5,000, I don't see it happening again. But you open it and you get FAI Cup crowds or in around that. I'm sure you'll have more trying to push to do it, and if it can be successful like that, I don't know if it will be, time will tell, but if it can be, well then yeah, it could be the start of something really interesting for the league as a whole. Seventh, I think.
Thomas Muck from Sportreport from Vienna here. Welcome to Vienna, first of all.
Thank you.
Your team last week had friendlies against HJK Helsinki. Rapid had a domestic league game against VSG Tirol. Do you see that as an advantage or a disadvantage for you, because you had more time to recharge, and Rapid has the domestic and international rhythm? Where do you see the advantage?
I think the advantage is with Rapid. I think the more you play, you're in your rhythm, you're in your stride, and it's you can ask any team or any players, they'd much prefer to play games regular than not play games. So we would feel the same as well. We would prefer to be playing competitive games on a regular basis. I think that definitely helps. Again, if you ask any team or players, they don't like long breaks, and we're no different.
Coach, where do you see the keys for tomorrow's game? What kind of game do you expect?
It's going to be a difficult game. We understand that. They're a good team, a lot of good players, really clear identity in how they play. They try control midfield with a lot of bodies in midfield, and they try and really dominate that area of the pitch. And we also try to do that. So it's going to be an interesting battle, and yeah, we'll see tomorrow, but we know we're against a good team. It's quite clear to see that they're a good team. So at times it's going to be difficult for us, but hopefully we can show our personality and our ability, and let's see where that takes us tomorrow.
Irish football here in Austria, Irish club football is some kind of an unknown. Robert Klaus said that your team is the complete opposite of the stereotype British game. You love to play the ball, you love to find solutions, creating chances. Is that something, a key ingredient for tomorrow's game? And do you see that as an advantage because your team has grown over the time and now the Cinderella story of the Conference League?
Yeah, our identity is very clear when you watch us play, and I've heard the comments from your manager, and they're obviously very complimentary, but we know we have to try produce a performance tomorrow against a good team, and better than what we're used to playing against domestically, so it's going to be difficult. But I think the years of experience and playing in this competition and in Champions League games and Europa League games has definitely helped us grow as a team, and it helps when you come to arenas like this and play against good teams. That experience definitely helps when the game is difficult. It's important that we remain calm and stick to the game plan, and let's see what happens.
Final question from my side: is that some kind of a highlight game for you tomorrow? And as you said, there are a lot of aspects of this game to put out. Where do you see the points where somewhere down the road, maybe next season, can your team learn from tomorrow's game?
We can definitely learn from tomorrow's game. You can learn from every game. And that's whether you win, lose or draw, and tomorrow will be no different. So we will definitely take learnings from tomorrow's game. Is it a highlight? No, we don't look at games like that as a highlight. this is the stage we want to be on. We want to compete at European level. We want to compete against big clubs, big teams. And we know that's going to be the case tomorrow night. We're playing against a big team. But this is where we want to be. We've played a lot of big teams throughout the year, so we understand what we're facing. And we'll be ready for tomorrow. It's going to be a difficult game, but like I said many times, this is what we want. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. And there'll be lots of learnings. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hey Gary. How are you feeling physically yourself? I know you had a sort of an interrupted end to the season and you were struggling a little bit. Where are you at now?
Good to go. Yeah, towards the end of the season, I played Pats at home and a night they beat us and had a nasty knock to my ribs, and it took me a while to get over it. It was kind of nursing that playing towards the end of the season, and probably wasn't myself, towards the end of the season. But we had obviously a good break after the Waterford game, and for our legs, our bodies, and our minds. So fully reset now and good to go.
How do you feel about the rest of this group? Because I know there's maybe a feeling you've got some of the hard work done now. So how do you sort of view this run in now?
It's a bit of a weird position. It's obviously we've put ourselves in a seriously strong position in terms of points on the board early, but I think when you look at the teams from 24 down, there are probably a lot of teams there that you fancy picking up points, and we're at 7 at the minute, and 7 could well be enough. But I think for our own sake, it's putting as many as we can on the board, because I think there's, like I said, there's a few teams from 24 down that you'd seriously fancy to pick up some points in the running. So we have some tough games coming up, but it's like you said, the 7 points you put on the board at the minute has put us in a really good position.
I know you watch a lot of football. I don't know, have you been doing your homework on these yourself? Have you any sense of what you're going to be facing here?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of them now myself. I find it since the end of the season kind of tried to put everything to one side and just fully focus on getting a bit of rest and a little bit of peace and quiet, really, and away from the madness. But we've done our work on them since we've been in. During the week we've done a lot of video on them, and I'm under no illusions that it's going to be the toughest game we've had in the group by far. So since the Applewell game, it's going to be definitely the toughest. Really, really good side. I see the players they have in the final third, the midfield three are really, really impressive. So it's going to be a really, really tough game. Looking forward to it.
Just the last one for me anyway. You said about sort of resting the body and the mind. On your time off, how much is thinking about looking ahead, and is there any part of you that's still, feeling the sense of regret from losing the league? Does it take a bit of time to get over that disappointment? I think,
naturally enough, your mind wanders to certain moments in the season where you've dropped points, or I think it took us a while during the season to put together 2 or 3 wins. I think it's quite rare for us, and naturally enough, your mind wanders to certain moments, like it did for me. Obviously, I missed 10 weeks with an injury, and then towards the end of the season, got another knock that I was trying to nurse the end of the season. So it took a while to get over, definitely. But I think you're in a position now where it's an incredible place to be in for an Irish player, and being here in the end of November talking about having 7 points on the board unbeaten in a Europa Conference League league stage. And so I have to quickly get over the disappointment of what happened and fully focus on 3 really, really tough games, but a really, really enjoyable time to be involved.
Cheers. Gary, do you feel match sharp? I know you had the club organised the 2 friendlies last week, but traditionally would be out of season first. How do you feel in terms of sharpness?
So you speak for myself personally, I feel really, really good. I think the break was needed, to be honest with you, just to, like I said, just to reset minds after the disappointment of the Waterford game, and obviously to rest your legs. It's a long season. We started pre-season in Royston on I believe it was the 18th of December last year, so it's going to be 12 months full out. We had a break in June, and obviously had a week off last week and 2 weeks ago, and so you've had 2 weeks off essentially in the full 12 months of playing. So to get the break was vitally important, just to rest everything. But for me, more importantly, was to rest the mind and have a full reset of what's happened and fully focus on this game, because like I said, it's going to be the toughest game we faced in the group so far, and I think our freshness in our mind is going to be equally as important as our freshness in our legs.
And if you do make the knockout stages, or sorry, the knockout stages, you're not really going to have much of a break at all going into next season, but you're prepared for that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation to be in. One that I'm sure none of us have faced before. It's going to be fairly flat out. I think there's maybe a space after the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge where there's maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, but after that then it's going to be back into pre-season training. You know, obviously the first league game was announced today and the 18th of February I believe, so it's, you know, it's going to be not much of a break for us, but I can't imagine you're going to go into that change room and find any lads complaining that we're going to be playing up until the 19th of December and finishing off the season at Stamford Bridge and then have a short break. And I think with everything that happened this season, I think we're going to be probably a little bit more of a buzz bouncing into next season to right our wrongs.
Hey Gary, given that you're not having much of a break, has there been any talk about changing the way you train or having to adapt because of that? Or?
Not within our group anyway. I'm sure the staff have had conversations in terms of moulding training a little bit differently, in terms of probably going to have more days off during the week now, because it's obviously we play it tomorrow night and then we've another 2 weeks before the next game, so our training schedule will differ that way. But in terms of on the pitch work, this week's been as normal as it ever has been in terms of before a game. Monday doing our tactical work the next 2 days and then roll into tomorrow. We'll do a small bit on the pitch tonight, but in terms of our training, I'm sure the staff will have a plan in terms of days off, extra days off, and keeping our bodies fresh for the games.
And you alluded to it there, what are your thoughts on opening the league at the Aviva Stadium against Spurs?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a conversation that we've probably had in-house before, in terms of I think it would be what I would say is the only cup final that would probably sell out the Aviva, but it's obviously never happened in my time or anything like that. So to have it as the curtain raiser, I think it's going to be an incredible game. To be honest, I think we've had some good games against Spurs this season, and to have it as the curtain raiser and in front of a hopefully packed out Aviva, it's going to be an incredible occasion.
And I mean, it kind of brings the league to a new level, doesn't it? I mean, you're experiencing this level in Europe, but to have a game in that kind of venue for a regular league game kind of brings it to a new level.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's I think it was probably the natural progression for the league, in terms of it's obviously a little bit rare in terms of it's both giving up the home advantage for it to be in the national stadium, but I think just to keep evolving the league, it's to have a packed out Aviva and a Dublin derby, and the animosity and the hatred between the two clubs, it's going to be an incredible experience, something that we've probably never experienced as players before, but it'll be a brilliant one, definitely.
Hi Gary, Thomas Muck from Sportreport from Vienna. Welcome to Vienna.
Thank you.
You had last week the friendlies against HJK Helsinki. Rapid is still in the rhythm of the domestic games and the international games. Do you see that as an advantage, because you might be fresher mentally and from the legs, or do you see that as a disadvantage because Rapid has the rhythm?
I suppose you could probably both sides of the coin, really. Me personally, speaking in front of you right now, I was happy to have the break and a full reset, like I said, on the body and the mind. But then on the flip side, you know, there's no substitution for match sharpness. We had a good game last week against Helsinki. It was as competitive as you're going to get in a friendly, so it's put us in good stead for tomorrow night in terms of the demands of what the game are going to have. Very, very similar team, I think, to what we're going to face tomorrow in terms of their play style. So it's put us in a good position for tomorrow night.
What kind of game do you expect?
A very tough one, to be completely honest about it. I think it's going to be an incredibly tough game for us. Like I said, the toughest game in the group so far. We've seen a lot of them over the last number of days, and obviously they have 9 from 9 in the league phase, so a really, really good team. But I think over the last 12, 24 months, I think you can see that we've acquired a real acuteness and maturity to our game in terms of how we've approached European away legs. So it's going to take all of that tomorrow night if we want to bring any points back to Dublin.
here in Central Europe we have some kind of a prototypical Irish game, a bit more British-sided, but Rapid trainer Klaus, with his press conference, said that you are not that way, you like to play ball, you like to pass a lot, and to find playing solutions like Rapid. When you have two games of a similar style, do you think that you will approach the game the same way like every other game?
Yeah, I don't think the manager would let us approach the game any differently. To be bluntly honest with you, I think that's his philosophy, that's his style. I think probably over the last, like I said, 12 to 24 months, he's probably adapted in the way of setting us up differently in terms of being a little bit harder to beat away from home, because maybe 3-4 years ago we've let ourselves down and put ourselves out of legs in first legs, and just by showing a little bit of immaturity, I think over the last 12 to 24 months we've really acquired that to our game. But going back to play styles, it could be a bit of a clash in terms of two teams that want to dominate the ball, definitely, and we won't approach the game any differently tomorrow night. It's all we know, how to own the ball, the players we have in the team. It would be going completely against them if we just turned it into, like you say, a British style. It's not us at all, and we'll approach it the way we normally do. Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks so much.